When she woke up, she found that her hands and feet were tied with cloth bags, and her mouth was. There were many other girls in the room who were in the same situation as her. Was she taken to the Burmese park? Just when she was desperate, an 80-yard a big foot came in from the door. Realizing that something was wrong, Lisa quickly turned sideways and pretended to be dead, but the girl next to her was not so lucky and was dragged into the room by the killer. Lisa was terrified. Would she be the next victim? She lay on the ground, trembling. Just when she was desperate, a big hand reached out to her. Lisa was startled. It turned out to be her best friend. She signaled Lisa not to make a sound and then helped her untie the cloth in her mouth. But at this moment, the bestie noticed something was wrong. Why was there no movement behind the door? She quickly hid under the bed as fast as she could and then signaled Lisa. Lisa knew what she meant. Not long after, the butcher dragged the girl covered in blood. After tying Lisa's rope, the two came to the door and tried to escape, but found that the door had been locked by the butcher. The bestie looked through the peephole and found that the murderer was behind the door. She was startled and pulled Lisa to run, but the house was so small, where could they escape to? The butcher quickly found them and dragged the bestie out. Lisa was trembling with fear at the sight of Mee's screams. She covered her mouth tightly and dared not make any sound. However, she still could not escape the clutches of the butcher. The butcher grabbed her hair and threw her out. The woman took the opportunity to lie on the ground motionless, pretending to be fainted. When the butcher left, she opened her eyes and found the house was full of dead bodies of girls, each one dying in a more miserable state than the last. She just wanted to escape from here as quickly as possible, but all the places she could escape from were covered with corpses. Lisa was a little upset. She went into the bathroom again to see if there were any compatriots who had escaped. But she saw the scene of the saint. It was bright red blood. It looked more like a slaughterhouse than a bathroom. Before she could recover from her surprise, she heard strange noises coming from outside. She walked out anxiously and found that there was a girl still alive among the dead. The girl was very excited when she saw Lisa, but Lisa quickly covered her mouth and signaled her, "Don't make any noise because the killer is still outside." Then Lisa pulled a cabinet against the door and helped the girl untie the rope that tied her up. But before they could, just as she was on guard, she heard a noise coming from the door. It was obvious that the murderer had returned. Without hesitation, Lisa quickly dragged a cabinet and put it behind the door to reinforce it. The door was still not strong enough, and it was only a matter of time before the killer came in. By then, the two of them would surely be dead. Fortunately, the vent on the ceiling could be opened. Lisa. He quickly climbed up, but the woman behind him could only watch because her legs were inconvenient, and the murderer was still banging on the door outside. The woman moved slowly towards the vent. There was a hole there. Since she couldn't stand up, she could only climb up along the wall. Seeing the murderer about to push open the door and rush in, the woman's strong desire to survive was also. She was completely inspired, and she tried her best to climb harder, but she soon fell down due to exhaustion. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Lisa grabbed her and pulled her up. When she was about to climb up, the butcher pulled her down. Under the butcher's operation, the woman soon stopped breathing. Lisa on top didn't know what happened. Lying in the ventilation duct, she listened carefully to the noise below. However, the next second, after a scream, Lisa hurriedly covered her mouth, holding back the severe pain and not uttering a single sound. There was no sound, but the killer had no intention of letting her go. He thrust another fork into the ventilation duct, piercing Lisa's shoulder. The piercing pain swept over her, but the killer. In order to fake her own death and deceive the killer, she dug her fingers into her wound and stirred it constantly. Before long, a drop of fresh blood dripped onto the killer's mask. The killer thought Lisa was dead, so he carried the female corpse and left the room. Seeing the killer walking away, Lisa. She was relieved and quietly climbed out of the ventilation duct, but she accidentally fell down. There was a female corpse with a livid face on the bed. Then she dragged Lisa came to the door with her seriously injured body, but the door was still locked. She was very upset and had to go back to find another way. But when she turned around, she suddenly found that the beam